Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Got Fused with a Symbiote in Childhood Part 2. Before we start, please go support Silverlion 12k for writing that awesome fanfic. Chapter 21 Internship Start. It was the next day. Izuku and Momo woke up and ate breakfast because they were in for a tough day working for their internship experience. As they departed for school, they made great timing and parked the bike like usual, but as they approached the school they saw Iida and he looked upset. Everyone heard about Iida's brother who got attacked by the hero killer. As Izuku and Momo approached him, he seemed out of it, but he snapped out of it when he heard his name called. Iida. Sorry, my thoughts were elsewhere. Izuku. Iida, I know you're upset, but please don't do anything stupid. Momo. Izuku is right, Iida-san. What would your brother think if he found out you landed in the hospital? Iida. What do the two of you know? Neither of you have had to seen a family member look lifeless in the hospital. As Izuku grew frustrated with Iida's pig-headedness, so Izuku let Carnage snap some sense into Iida. Izuku. Carnage. Listen here, you four-eyed bastard, you got two people trying to keep you safe and you're slapping away their help. What would your brother say if he saw that you were leaving your ideals? As those words hit Iida like a brick, it seemed that he was brought back to his senses, but who knows for how long. Once everyone made it to class, Awa-sensei had escorted them to the train station. That's where Flash was waiting. Flash. Good morning. Now Izuku, let's be off to Hosu City. That's where we'll begin patrol, and after that I'll teach you some new techniques. Upon arrival of Hosu City, Flash told Izuku they would go to the outskirts of the town to train, and in the evening they would patrol for a while. After arriving to the outskirts, Flash had told Izuku that he would teach him some of his symbiote-based attacks. So after a few hours, Izuku learned and practiced Symbiote Shield and Symbiote Rush. Symbiote Shield. Symbiote Rush. As hours of training passed, Izuku and Flash decided to take a break and began to get to know one another. That's when Flash brought the topic of women up. Flash. So Izuku, I know it's none of my business, but outlook like the kind of guy that girls add after. Izuku. I'm actually dating someone now. Flash. Really, that's cool. Hope she isn't the jealous type because my old girlfriend was like that. Izuku. Nah, my girl isn't the jealous type. After saying that, Izuku's phone rang, and when he looked at the contact that was calling him, Flash noticed a smile appear on his face. Call between Izuku and Momo. Momo. Hi Izu, how's your internship? Izuku. Hey beautiful, my internship is going well, we're just talking a break from training. Momo. I should have picked a different agency. Izuku. Why, what happened? Momo. Interning with Uwabami isn't as great as I thought. All we're doing is photo shoots and acting like an entourage. Izuku. Well, you could have asked me to put a word in with Gunhead, he would have taken you in. Momo. I know, wait, hold on sec. Izuku. What's going on? Momo. I'm going on patrol, be safe, okay? Izuku. Carnage. Later sugar tits, can't wait to see you again. Momo. Carnage. Get off the call. Izuku. Izuku. Don't worry beautiful, I'll have a word with Carnage. Be safe until I see you again. As the call ended, Izuku entered into the mindscape and approached Carnage. Izuku. Carnage, what hell was that? Carnage. Sorry, couldn't resist. Izuku. Lasher, if you don't mind. Lasher. Not at all. As Lasher proceeded to punch Carnage and knocked him out, Lasher knocked Carnage out and said, I am the greatest. Mindscape end. As Flash was laughing to himself after everyone that had transpired, he just had to ask Izuku. Flash. Izuku, was that your symbiote acting up? Izuku. Yeah, Carnage can be a pain sometimes. Flash froze and asked, wait, aren't you Lasher's host? Izuku responded with a yes, but Flash was confused as to how Carnage wasn't on a rampage. Izuku. Well, to explain, we had an incident where Carnage was under mind control, and when we freed him, he was too weak to take revenge on his own, so we fused, and now I host Lasher and Carnage. As Flash heard the explanation from Izuku, he was surprised that he was the second person to be able to suppress Carnage, just like the Scarlet Spider. After some time had passed, they headed into the city to grab some lunch. Once arriving, they stopped at a cafe to enjoy lunch. After ordering, the two ate to regain energy so they could patrol at night. Chapter 22 Attack on Hosu. It was the first night of the internships, and the sun had just set. Izuku changed into the gear Flash provided him. Once dressed, Izuku activated his symbiote to cover his body, except his face. Then when the action begins, he'll cover his face. Everything seemed quiet and calm until an explosion had sounded off, and then many Nomus appeared out of thin air. Izuku and Flash began to fight off the Nomu while protecting the citizens of Hosu City. Flash had told Izuku to hit the alleyways to make sure no civilian was hiding. As Izuku was clearing the alley, he spotted Iida on the ground with someone hovering over him with a sword about to impale him when Izuku swung and turned his arm into a sword. Izuku had barely made it in time to save Iida's life when the figure jumped back and took a stance when he began to speak. Who are you and what business do you have with me? Can't you see I'm about to rid this world of false heroes? Izuku. I'm sorry I can't allow you to do that, Stain. I can see your views, but you're going about it the wrong way. Plus it's a hero's duty to meddle in matters that don't concern us. Stain. Well, I see you follow All Might's code. You've earned the right to be called a true hero. As Stain rushed Izuku with his katana, Izuku put up his symbiote shield. The blade was stuck on Lasher, preventing it from being removed. Iida was laying on the ground with tears in his eyes as Izuku did his best to protect him. Iida. Midoriya, leave, there's no reason for you to die. Izuku. Carnage. Shut up, you idiot. Can't you see I'm trying to save your life? Now let me save you. Izuku was doing well against Stain while protecting Iida, and Nomu interrupted their fight as Stain was punched and sent flying to the wall. As the Nomu turned to Izuku to punch him, a wall of ice appeared protecting Izuku from the Nomu. Izuku turned towards the direction it came from, and it was Shoto Todoroki. Todoroki. Midoriya, next time you try to request backup, send a message that isn't so cryptic, please. As Todoroki arrived to give Izuku backup, the two fought the Nomu who appeared, but this one seemed weaker compared to the one that attacked USJ. Izuku weakened the Nomu by cutting the joints. Lucky for them, this Nomu didn't have hyper regeneration like the last one. Once it was weak, Todoroki was able to encase it in ice so that the experts can study it to see what they can learn from it. Iida was no longer under Stain's quirk, so he was able to move. That's when they ran towards the wall. Stain as at, and he was still unconscious. Izuku webbed him tightly so that he couldn't escape as the three emerged from the alley. Pros had arrived to their location since Todoroki request for backup. As they left the alley with the Nomu and Hero Killer captive out of the blue, a flying Nomu snatched Izuku and was about to fly away with him. That almost happened if it wasn't for Venom shooting the Nomu multiple times in the eye, killing it. Flash. You alright there, partner? Izuku. Yeah, thanks for the assist. When police arrived, they were able to handcuff Stain and send the Nomu over to specialist so they can study it. The police chief stepped to Izuku and Todoroki, telling them if they take credit, they will face consequences for using their quirks without hero licenses. The credit towards capturing Stain went to Venom since the government asked for his assistance. After the crazy experience they went through, the rest of the internship was cancelled. Everyone returned home the following day. Izuku remembered what Momo's parents told them before they left for their internships. Chapter 23, Moving Day. Once arriving back home after the internships ended abruptly, Izuku and Flash said goodbye due to Stain being captured. Flash, we no longer needed in Japan. Flash. Looks like this is goodbye, Izuku. It was a pleasure to work with another symbiote user. If you're ever in America, please look me up and we can hang out. I'll show you around. Izuku. Flash, thank you for teaching me what you know. I promise to improve. If I'm ever in America, I'll take you up on that offer. As the two went separate ways, Izuku took the train back home. He met up with Iida at the station. The tension in the air was thick. Out could cut it with a butter knife. Iida didn't know what words to say in order to apologize to Izuku. Just saying I'm sorry isn't going to cut it. Iida. Midoriya, I'd like to humbly apologize for putting your life and Todoroki's life in grave danger. Izuku. Iida, I'm the one who should apologize. As your friend, I should have seen the signs you were hurting. Always remember, if anything happens, please don't be afraid to talk to me about it. We're friends. Iida. Thank you, Midoriya, I appreciate your friendship. As the train arrives to pick up Izuku and Iida, they take the train ride back home. It was quiet, but the tension was gone. After a while on the train, they were getting closer to home. Upon arrival to the station, Izuku was met with a hug by Momo. Everyone in class 1 was looking at Izuku and Momo hug when they realized they never really told anyone that they had been dating for a while. Once everyone was at the station, Izawa had an announcement to make. Izawa. Okay, now that everyone is here, you will have 2 days off. Then when you return, I have an important announcement to make. I'll see you all in 2 days. If today is Tuesday, so I'll see you Friday. Everyone had gone home and split. Izuku called his dad to tell him they just got back. After a short call to his father, they were told to wait at the station for a pickup. After waiting for 20 minutes, Momo's limo came to pick them up. Sakawa. Lady Momo and Master Izuku, it's a pleasure to see you both again. Momo. Likewise, Mr. Sakawa, thank you for picking us up. Sakawa. Think nothing of, we're actually going to the new house. Izuku. Wait, I thought the plan was that Momo and I help pack when we return from our internship. Sakawa. Well, Master Izuku, there was a change of plans. You parents will live in the main house with Lady Momo's parents, while you and Lady Momo live in the back house. They were driving for 10 minutes until they reached a driveway, and when they pulled up to the new mansion which Sakawa mentioned, it was beautiful. Hisashi, Inko, Takeshi and Ibina were relaxing outside when they saw their children come home. Both Izuku and Momo were tackled with hugs after they were both tired from their work experience. Hisashi. You both must be exhausted from the work experience. Izuku. Yeah, we are. Can you show us to our rooms? Takeshi. You two don't have rooms here. Momo. What are you talking about, father? Abina. Since you two will be getting married later down the line, we felt that you two should have your own home. Izuku. So where is this home? Takeshi. There's a house in the back of the mansion. You and Momo will live there together. All your stuff has been set up. As Izuku and Momo walked on a little path that led to the back house, and when they arrived they saw a beautiful small house. Takeshi. This beautiful home is a 3-bedroom 2-bathroom with attached garage. One bedroom was turned into a study, and the other is a guest room. The third is a master bedroom with bathroom included. The second bathroom is located straight upstairs. As Izuku and Momo were amazed to see this house, they were happy they had this place to themselves. Takeshi handed Izuku the key to the house, and their parents left for the main house to leave the young couple alone. Once Izuku approached the door, Momo was about to walk in until Izuku grabbed her by her arm and pulled her in his direction, only to be lifted like a princess. Momo. Izuku, what are you doing? Izuku. I'm bringing the princess into her home. As Izuku made his way inside his home, he carried Momo to the master bedroom where they would sleep together, and once arriving to the room he put her on the bed and he stared deeply into her onyx eyes. Momo looked deep into Izuku's emerald eyes. At that moment it was like they were hypnotized. While Momo was still lost in Izuku's eyes, he planted a kiss on her lips. Izuku kept kissing Momo passionately. When Izuku broke the kiss, Momo had wrapped her arms around his neck. She then realized something. Momo. If only the two of us live here, we have to make dinner for ourselves. Izuku. I'm looking at my dinner right now. Momo turned into a blushing mess and noticed that it wasn't Carnage that uttered those words. Lemon skipped. Please read it on website. Izuku walked to the bathroom and ran the bath, so when he arrived back into his bedroom, Momo was compassing herself. Izuku. Let's take a bath together. We can make dinner. Momo could only respond with a nod. She wasn't sure if she could trust her voice. After a quick shower together, they made a simple dinner and went off to bed. Chapter 24 Midterm Exam. After having 2 days off from school due to the incident during the internships, they were back in class. The moment Aizawa entered in class, everyone was quiet and ready for the announcement that their teacher mentioned before having 2 days off. Aizawa. I hope you all remembered about the special announcement I mentioned. Everyone was sweating bullets, wondering what was about to happen. Nobody was sure what was about to be said. Aizawa. You have midterm exams next week, so all of today I'll cover what kind of problem will be on the test. This will be a 2-part exam. First half is written, second half will be a surprise. Now get your textbooks out and we will begin the review for the exam. Once it was lunchtime, everyone felt that their brains were going to overload. Mina broke the tension. Mina. What do you guys think that the second half of the test will be? As everyone began to discuss ideas on what the second half of their test will cover, they were approached by 2 third years. Hey, are you guys talking about midterms? Mina. Yeah, our teacher said first half was a written portion, but said the second half was a surprise. I know what the second half is. Can I tell them? How can I? Mirio. First we introduce ourselves. I'm Mirio Tagada, and this is Najire Hado. Najire. The second half of the exam is combat based. You'll fight the robots from the entrance exam. Mirio. Well, if that was any help, we hope to see all of you again soon. After the 2 third years left, everyone from CLASS1 felt relief after hearing how easy second half of the exam was going to be. The only one who seemed to be thinking about it was Izuku. Momo. Izuku, what wrong? Izuku. I believe that the seniors are wrong this time. Mina. What are you talking about? Izuku. We've been through so much, the assault on USJ and the fight between Stain along with Nomus. The teachers will probably change the exam. 1 week later. After having nothing but an extensive review for the material on the test, it was time for the midterm. Upon arrival in class, everyone had a test face down on their desk, and only when everyone was present could they flip their test and begin. The test began and had 1 hour and 40 minutes to complete. The exam time flew, and everyone understood the questions on the exam thanks to the extensive review. Once time was up, everyone went to lunch and began talking about the test. They all felt confident that they all passed. After lunch, they went back to class and were ready for the next half of the exam. Aizawa. Okay, students, make your way to the changing rooms and meet at training field B. The students did as they were told, and when Izuku stepped out of the locker room in his gear with a gas mask hanging from his side, Izuku sensed something was going to happen. Once everyone was at training field B, they noticed all the teachers were standing side by side. As they were confused as to why all the teachers had gathered, Nedzu appeared from Aizawa's capture tool. Nedzu. Hello students, I bet you're wondering why we've all gathered, correct? Izuku lifted his hand and began to answer. Izuku. Is this due to the recent villain attacks? I bet instead of fighting robots we'll be facing off against you. Nedzu. Correct Midoriya, you will all be facing the teachers to show how well you can face off against pros. They will be wearing special devices that prevent them from going 100%. After Nezu explained the test to the students, the names of the students who were assigned to a teacher had been called out. All teams canon except Bakugo gets paired with Kirishima and Sato. Once everyone had received their assigned teachers, Izuku was the only one who didn't get paired yet. Izuku. Excuse me Principal Nezu, I didn't get paired to fight a teacher. With a devilish grin all the teachers looked at Izuku and Principal Nezu signaled Izuku to turn around when standing before him was All Might. All Might. Young Midoriya. I will be testing you, so show me what you've learned. All Izuku could do was swear in his head, "Buck you. Why him out of all people? They made my chances to pass slim to none. All Might. For our fight, young Midoriya, don't think of me as the symbol of peace, but call me the symbol of chaos." Everyone's mind. Symbol of chaos. Once the matches began, team after team had passed against their assigned teachers. Everyone was excited to see Izuku vs All Might. Nezu on loudspeaker. Now the moment you've all been waiting for. Will Izuku Midoriya and All Might report to Battlefield A? Chapter 25 Izuku vs the Symbol of Chaos. Now that it was finally Izuku's turn to fight, he reported to his Battlefield A as he was instructed to do so. Upon entering, he powered up in his symbiote form. Izuku's mindscape. Izuku. Lasher, Carnage, today we're going up against All Might himself, so let's give it all we got. Lasher. Understood. It will be tough, but I know we can do it. Carnage. Not to worry kid, we'll do our best. As Izuku exited the mindscape, he relaxed his muscles to prepare for one hell of a fight. When he was ready, Nezu took a deep breath and declared that the test begin. Nezu. Begin. Izuku became extremely cautious. Even though he had symbiote sense, he wouldn't allow himself to drop his guard at any moment. It wasn't until a massive gust of wind began blowing towards Izuku to prevent from being blown away, Izuku planted his tendrils firmly and used symbiote shield. Many were impressed with Izuku's quick thinking and diverse way of fighting. All who were spectating the fight knew how strong he had grown due to his internship. Suddenly there appeared a figure that was walking through the dust and dirt that was lifted in the air. All Might. I am the symbol of chaos, the city shall bow before my presence. Izuku. Not if I have anything to say about it. All Might. Then you shall be the first to know pain. An. Play song above. As All Might launched another smash, it felt more powerful than the previous. Izuku held his ground. Once the wind died down, All Might rushed Izuku and began to assault his symbiote shield. Izuku was about to create distance, but the second he dropped the shield, All Might gave Izuku a smash to the solar plexus. Izuku was sent flying towards the opposite side of the arena. Many were worried about his well-being, but everyone began to worry once Momo pointed out something very crucial. Inside observation room. Momo. Principal Nezu, wasn't every teacher supposed to wear restraints to prevent them from using their full power? Nezu. Yes, that is correct, but why are you mentioning this? Momo. All Might's restraints are gone. As Nezu zoomed in on All Might's arms and legs, it was revealed that they were gone. Nezu began to wonder if the first smash that was released was able to shatter the restraints due to the power that was emitted. Back to the fight. Izuku had been sent in the opposite direction of the battlefield. As he got up trying to compose himself, All Might was standing in front of him and began his assault again. This time he threw in a combination of punches and kicks, causing Izuku to get stuck halfway through a building. When All Might proceeded to pull him from the building, Izuku thought he had gotten some breathing room. He was sorely mistaken, as All Might grabbed him by the face and slammed him into the ground multiple times. When Izuku was lifted one more time, he thought it was over. He was wrong. He was tossed lightly into the air and hit with another Detroit smash that sent him flying straight through 4 buildings. Now that Izuku had stopped flying through buildings, he noticed his symbiote form wasn't active. Izuku decided to talk to both Lasher and Carnage for a quick second until 2 small tendrils appeared from his back. Izuku. Lasher, Carnage, what's going on? Why isn't the symbiote suit covering my body? Lasher. We've taken a lot of heavy damage. It's actually surpassed our limit. We need to rest before we can cover your body with the symbiote form. Carnage. I completely underestimated the symbol of peace. Izuku. So what abilities can I access for now? Carnage. You have a ×4 super strength and speed that your body gets since you have 2 symbiotes. Lasher. You will also have symbiote sense and symbiote webs available. Izuku. It might not be much, but I'll take what I can get. As Carnage and Lasher went in a sleep mode, Izuku got a breather until his symbiote sense went off and knew what direction All Might was coming from. Izuku calmed himself and prepared for his counter-attack. In play for last half of story. The moment All Might stormed into the building where Izuku was, and as a smash came towards Izuku, he dodged and cocked back his fist and punched All Might in the stomach, causing him to wince in pain. This gave Izuku the idea that he should aim for the body, and that's what he did. Since Izuku trained with Gunhead, he was taught multiple fighting styles, so when All Might was holding his stomach, he failed to see the kick that was aimed at his head. As Izuku began his assault on All Might since the kick to the head rattled his senses. Izuku did a leg sweep causing All Might to drop to the floor. Izuku webbed him and began to twirling him as he smashed all the columns with his face. The very moment the web snapped, All Might flew out of the building he and Izuku were in. Izuku webbed to walls to make a slingshot. As he pulled back on the webs he flung himself outside, soaring through the air along with All Might. When Izuku caught up he shot a web to pull himself closer to him so he could use his signature move Maximum Symbiote. In the very instant that Izuku made contact with All Might, all who were in the observation room were surprised as Izuku stood toe-to-toe with All Might at his full power. It was too soon to celebrate his victory because the second the dust cleared, All Might stood spitting out a little blood. All that was needed was a final barrage of attacks when Izuku remembered his other signature move taught to him by Venom. All Might. Pathetic hero, you'll never win. Hahaha. Izuku began to rush All Might with Symbiote Rush. The attack was too fast and unexpected. This had knocked All Might down and gave Izuku the chance to handcuff him in order for him to pass the exam. All Might was taken to Recovery Girl and everyone looked at Izuku. Izuku? What, do I have something on my face? Momo. Izuku, you just beat All Might while he used his full power. Izuku? What do you mean full power? As they played back the footage of his fight he noticed the restraints broke off of All Might when he launched the first smash. After some time Izuku was called to Recovery Girl's room. Upon arrival, All Might wanted to speak to Izuku alone. When Recovery Girl left it was time. All Might. Young Midoriya, remember the promise we made? Izuku. Yes, I do remember. So have you found a successor? All Might. No, I haven't, but I ask that you take the mantle of the symbol of peace. I want you to take my quirk. Chapter 26 Inherited. Previously. All Might. Young Midoriya, remember the promise we made? Izuku. Yes, I do remember. So have you found a successor? All Might. No, I haven't, but I ask that you take the mantle of the symbol of peace. I want you to take my quirk. Chapter 26 Begin. Izuku. All Might, since you haven't found a successor to take your quirk, then I'll do it. All Might. Perfect. Before I give you my quirk, please allow me to tell you its origin. Izuku. Okay, please tell the tale of your quirk's origin. All Might. This all began around the time when quirks first appeared. They were a family with 2 sons and they developed these powers. The eldest had the power to remove quirks, but his younger brother was quirkless, or so they thought. One day the elder brother decided to transfer a quirk that allows the user to stockpile power. Little did he know the younger brother had a quirk to give quirks. So the younger brother decided that this power should be passed down for generations to come to combat the elder brother, who goes by All for One. I currently am the 8th bearer of the quirk called One for All. Each time we pass down this quirk to our successor, it becomes more and more powerful. Now it's your turn to inherit this quirk. Izuku. This is a lot to take in, but I'm ready. Who do I accept your quirk? How do I accept it? All Might. You have to eat this. All Might said as he plucked a strand of his hair from the top of his head. Izuku was skeptical at first, but if it was the only way he did as he was told. Izuku. I don't feel any different. All Might. Just wait for it to digest. Just go home, your tests are done. You passed with flying colors, young man. As Izuku left he walked back to his class where Izawa was about to announce what will happen over the course of summer break. Izawa. Okay class, I'm proud that all of you passed with flying colors on your exams. Now instead of lazing around all summer we will be going on a training camp to hone your skills and train your quirks. This training camp starts Monday, so be here early. You have the rest of today, tomorrow and Sunday to relax before training camp begins. Once Izawa concluded the announcement he dismissed his class. While everyone was glad to have Saturday and Sunday off, they didn't know what to do for the weekend. Izuku. If you guys want we can have a cookout at my place this Saturday. As the class went wild at the thought of a big party at Izuku's place until Bakugo sounded off. Itsuki. Oi. Nerd, how are you going to have a cookout when you and your parents live in a small apartment? Izuku. Well Kaken, if you noticed we moved out of there after the internships. Everyone was confused as to where the cookout was going to be. When Izuku sent out the address via group chat, they would receive a major surprise when they arrived. Izuku and Momo had gotten back to their home to prepare for the cookout for tomorrow. Momo had noticed that Izuku seemed out of it. Momo. Izu, are you okay? Izuku. Momo. Yeah, I'm okay. I guess the fatigue from the fight with All Might is starting to affect me. Momo. Are you sure? If you need to talk let me know, okay? Izuku. Thanks Momo, I love you. Izuku said as he walked up to her and kissed her on the lips as he made his way to lay down on the bed. The moment Izuku was on the bed he fell asleep. Momo continued to prepare the meat by marinating it so I could have great flavor. When she finished she joined Izuku in bed. Izuku's mindscape. Izuku. Lasher. Carnage, why am I here? I was asleep, that's all I could remember. Lasher. It appears they have summoned you. Izuku. Who summoned me? Carnage. Those 8 guys over there. Izuku. Who are all of you? First. We are your predecessors who once held the power. One for all, you can address me as first. You will do so with the other by order, except for 70 will address her Anonishimura. Izuku. Okay, so first, why am I here? First. We will pass our knowledge of this quirk to help you master it. We feel that there will be a change that world won't be prepared for. Izuku. What change do you speak of? First. We cannot say this change will probably shake the foundation of society again. So we as your predecessors will guide you along the way. Now Izuku, please stretch your hand out. As Izuku stretched his out, all 7 of his predecessors held auras in their hands and placed them onto Izuku's hand. The moment Izuku made contact with each aura, all techniques and experience were transferred into his head. First. When you awaken from your slumber, you will have complete control of One for All. This will assist you when the time is right. Chapter 27 BBQ Training Camp Departure. Previously. First. We will pass our knowledge of this quirk to help you master it. We feel that there will be a change that world won't be prepared for. Izuku. What change do you speak of? First. We cannot say this change will probably shake the foundation of society again. So we as your predecessors will guide you along the way. Now Izuku, please stretch your hand out. As Izuku stretched his out, all 7 of his predecessors held auras in their hands and placed them onto Izuku's hand. The moment Izuku made contact with each aura, all techniques and experience were transferred into his head. First. When you awaken from your slumber, you will have complete control of One for All. This will assist you when the time is right. Chapter 27 Start. It was the morning after and Izuku woke up. It was 6 a.m. As he turned to his side, he saw his girlfriend Momo, who was sleeping peacefully. Izuku got out of bed carefully so he wouldn't wake up Momo. After leaving the bed without waking Momo, he stretched, then remembered the dream about meeting the predecessors. He decided to call All Might. Ring ring ring. All Might. Toshinori speaking. Izuku. All Might, it's Izuku, I have a question to ask you. All Might. What time is it, young Midoriya? Izuku. It's 6 a.m. All Might. Okay, what's your question, young Midoriya? Izuku. In all your time of being the holder of One for All, have you ever been contacted by the previous holders? As some silence filled the call between Izuku and All Might, Izuku was anxious to figure out All Might's answer. All Might. No, nothing like that has ever happened to me. That's weird. Please tell me what they said. Izuku. Okay, so I spoke to the man who first obtained One for All. He said that the foundation of the hero world will change. All Might. Did he say what that means specifically? Izuku. No, but they all passed some sort of aura and said when I wake up I'll have full control of this quirk. Could we meet up at the Gaba beach and see if this is true? All Might. Sure, on my way. Time skip to meet up. Izuku. All Might, sorry to disturb you on your day off. All Might. It's fine now. If you truly have control over my quirk, let it flow through your body. As Izuku let the power flow through his body, he was able to throw smashes at 100% with no drawback. After 3 hours of training with One for All, Izuku didn't feel exhausted. He felt like he could take on the world until he got a call. Ring ring ring. Izuku. Sorry All Might, I gotta take this. All Might. It's fine, go ahead. Ring ring ring. Izuku. Hey beautiful, good morning. Momo. Where are you? Izuku. Sorry, I had to handle something at the doctor's. Momo. Are you okay? Izuku. Stop shouting. Yeah, I'm okay. I was feeling pretty exhausted last night, so I told the doctor and he said it was muscle fatigue. Momo. Should we postpone the barbecue? Izuku. Holy cow, I almost forgot about the BBQ. Don't cancel, I'll be fine, I'll see you in 20 min. Flick. Izuku. Sorry All Might, I forgot we planned a BBQ with our classmates. I gotta get home. All Might. It's alright young Midoriya, listen, it looks like you're comfortable controlling One for All, so have fun. If you want to train, let me know. As Izuku left to go home, he returned around 9:20 am. He took a shower and began preparing the last things for the BBQ. Time skipped to 3 p.m. All of their classmates had arrived and were surprised to see how big of a house Izuku now lived in. As everyone approached the gate, Kitsuki recognized someone on the lawn chair and was completely shocked. Kitsuki. Uncle Hisashi. Hisashi. Hey little firecracker, how have you been? Kitsuki. You live here now, Uncle Hisashi? Hisashi. Yeah, well, it's a long story, have Izuku tell you guys. Let me show you where he's at. As Hisashi escorted class 1 to the back, they say where Izuku was staying again, their jaws dropped to the ground. The house that Izuku was staying in was a bit smaller than the main house, but it was still pretty big. Outside they saw Izuku cooking on the grill. Once he saw his classmates, he called out to Momo, who was walking outside of the house with hamburger buns, hamburger meat, hot dogs and condiments. Everyone thought they looked like a couple of newlyweds who just bought their first home and were celebrating with friends. Izuku. Hey guys, don't just stand there, come closer and have a seat anywhere. Momo. Welcome to our home. Everyone was shocked to hear Momo say our home as if the two were living together. Once everyone was over the initial shock of the two living together, Izuku proceeded to tell them how this came to be. After a long conversation everyone was caught up. Only one person seemed kinda nervous while being in Izuku's home, and that was Katsuki Bakugo. It was weird that he hadn't been acting like usual where he would threaten someone. Izuku noticed this behavior and pulled him to the side. Izuku. Kaken, is everything okay? Katsuki. Can we talk in private? As Izuku led Katsuki to the study, he opened the door. Once the two were inside he shut the door, so the conversation was private. Izuku. So Kaken, what did you want to talk about? Katsuki. First off, I'd like to apologize for everything I've done to you. Izuku was confused at what he was talking about, but he heard droplets of water on the table when he noticed Kaken shedding a few tears. Izuku. It's okay Kaken, I forgive you. Katsuki. No, it's not okay. I'm an arrogant person who believes he's the best, but I'm not. I'm insecure. Things never turn out the way I want. I always claimed that I'd be the next number one, but you time and time again have proven that you are closer than I ever could be. Izuku. Kaken, not once did I ever look down at you. I genuinely looked up to you when we were kids. When you took it upon yourself to decide who can and can't be a hero, that's when you lost my respect. Katsuki. I know gaining your respect won't be easy, but I'm ready to change, and I'd like for us to be friends again. Izuku. I'd like the Kaken, come on, let's grab some burgers and hang out. As the talk between the two ended, nobody questioned where they went. Time flew and everyone had left after having enjoyed themselves at Izuku's home. Time skip camp departure. As the weekend ended, everyone was excited to attend the training camp to get stronger than before. After boarding the bus, Izuku and Momo sat next to each other, but something was bothering Izuku. It was a weird feeling he could not shake off. Momo. Izu, is everything okay? Izuku. Yeah, I'm fine, but I got a feeling something bad is going to happen. Chapter 28, Training Camp. As the bus ride towards the training camp was heading towards their destination, many of the students were growing restless. Momo slept on Izuku's shoulder, Katsuki was sleeping with his head leaning on the window, and some were just talking. When the bus finally stopped, Izawa stood up and made an announcement. Izawa. Okay, off the bus everyone. This sudden development confused everyone, but they were glad they were able to get off the bus. Izuku woke Momo up. When she woke up they stood at a cliff. That's when Lasher and Carnage spoke. Izuku Mindscape. Lasher. Hello Izuku. Carnage. Hey bud. Izuku. Hey guys, what's going on? Lasher. We sense your teacher is about to do something, so attach a web to everyone. Izuku. Thanks guys, I appreciate it. Carnage. Izuku, I sense a killer intent close to how mine was during USJ. Don't alarm anyone yet until I can get a sure reading. Izuku. Thanks guys. As Izawa walked in front of his class, a car pulled up to the side of the cliff and out came three people. One was a brunette who was dressed in a red cat suit, the second was a blonde who was dressed in a blue cat suit, and lastly a child. The two later introduces themselves as two of the members from the rescue team Wild Wild Hussy Cats. When all introductions were made, Izawa cleared his throat and said, "Collapse it." The students were confused until the cliff where they stood had collapsed. Everyone was falling fast until they all felt a tug. After the screaming stopped, they looked up and noticed Izuku webbed them as dangled near the top of the cliff. Izuku. Don't worry everyone, I used my tendrils to prevent our fall. Izuku waited a bit before lifting everyone up to the top. Many of his classmates were wondering what was wrong. Katsuki. Hey Deku, what are you waiting for? Izuku shhh Kaken, I need to make sure they all leave. Momo. Why? Izuku. You'll all know in a bit. As they waited in silence, they heard the bus take off along with a separate car. That's when Izuku took action. Before the bus got further and further, Izuku shot a symbiote web at the back of the bus they were riding in. He zipped to the bus along with all his classmates. While they zipped, Izuku made sure to land making as little noise as possible, because then Izawa would figure out what happened. After staying put for an hour, they finally arrived at the training camp destination when Izawa got off but he spoke to the Hussy Cats. Izawa. Finally some time away from those kids. Dixie Bob Man Eraserhead, you sound like you dislike the class. Izawa. No, I enjoy teaching, but man, it's exhausting. Izuku. Oh sensei, we enjoy being your students. As Izawa and the Hussy Cat stood stiff at the sound of a voice from on top of the bus, Izuku and his entire class jumped off the bus roof. Izawa. How did you? Izuku. Sensei, remember I have webs and tendrils. Izawa facepalmed and completely forgot about Izuku and his abilities. Izawa was going to make them work their butt off, but he thought he'd let them enjoy the first day and relax. Izawa. Since you hitched a ride instead of going through the forest, I was going to give you guys an intensive training regiment. I changed my mind. Rest well today, and tomorrow we will begin. Many cheered that Izawa was giving them a break, but Izuku was worried about what Carnage had told him. So Izuku decided that he'd have to tell Izawa before it get any later. Izuku. Excuse me, Izawa-sensei. Izawa. Yes, Midoriya, what's wrong? Izuku. Can I speak to you in private? As Izuku and Izawa walked to an area with less people so they wouldn't hear this conversation between the two. Izawa. So what did you want to talk about? Izuku. I believe that we'll have some uninvited guests coming soon. Izawa. What do you mean? Izuku. I was told by Carnage that he sensed some major killer intent. I believe the League of Villains will strike soon. Izawa. Okay, so what do you plan? Izuku. Call for backup. I recommend Kamui Woods and Mount Lady. Izawa. Why those two? Izuku. Kamui Woods can blend in well with the surroundings and Mountain Lady for intimidation factor. Picture having to fight a giant. This made sense in Izawa's head, and so he went to call for the two-hero team for backup. When Izuku returned to his friends, everyone began to ask him what he and Izawa were talking about. Izuku. Oh, I talked to Izawa and helping me work on my symbiote senses. Everyone bought the story except Momo. She knew something was off and she'd figure out what is was. After having dinner they were told that every day from then on they'd have to cook their own meals. After dinner they all headed towards the baths. Everything went well without incident, even though Mineta tried to peep on the girls. Izuku was slowly emitting a killing intent aura in Mineta's direction to prevent him from climbing the walls that separated them. After Izuku got out of the bath he got dressed and decided to go on a nighttime stroll. Izuku knew someone was behind him and it was Momo. Without turning around Izuku stopped and spoke. Izuku. Momo, would you like to join me? Momo. How do you know I was following you? Izuku. Remember symbiote senses, honey. What's up, is something wrong? Momo. I want to know what it really was that you and Izawa-sensei talked about. Izuku. I didn't want the class to freak out, but Carnage warned me and I believe the villains will attack us here soon. I don't know what day, but it might go down soon. Momo was shocked and couldn't believe what she heard. She then understood why Izuku didn't reveal this info to everyone. Izuku. Don't worry, backup is on the way and I'll protect you, I promise. After Izuku said that, this calmed Momo down and she kissed Izuku before she went to bed. Chapter 29 Training Camp continued. The next morning, after having the first night to relax, everyone was woken up at 5 a.m. to begin intensive training. While everyone was assigned special exercises to help them strengthen their quirks, Izuku was the only one left out before he could ask. Izawa spoke. Izawa. Midoriya, you will fight me, the Hussy Cats and Mount Lady without your symbiote form. This was the kind of challenge that Izuku was looking for. When his training began, every muscle of his body was trained. Within 10 minutes of starting, Izuku was backed into a tree having to fight a team of heroes. A giant and an underground hero wasn't as easy as he thought. Izawa. Alright, we're taking a 15-minute break. When Izawa made that announcement, that many of the students sat down to relax and enjoy the break they were given. Izawa approached Izuku and sat down with him to give him advice. Izawa. Listen, Midoriya, when battling multiple opponents, don't stress out about being outnumbered. Just try to remember the feeling when you fought All Might during the exam. Your symbiote form was out of commission. Now use this training camp as a means to reinforce your body. If you rely on your power, it will eventually make you lax and completely dependent on it. Izuku took these words to heart and knew if he didn't train his body, then he'd be completely dependent on his quirks. That was a bad thing, being too dependent on your own power. Izawa. Okay everyone, 15 minutes are up. Back to training. Oh Midoriya, during this camp, we'll alternate days where we work on your body and quirks. Today your body, and tomorrow your quirk. After several hours of training, everyone was completely exhausted from training. Upon returning to the campground, they saw Ragdoll and Pixie Bob standing near tables full of ingredients. Pixie Bob. We were only going to cook for you yesterday, so now you're all on your own. After every session of training you will have to make your own meals. Izuku. You guys rest, I got this. After everyone heard that, they remembered the delicious food they had at Izuku's party. After 30 minutes Izuku finished cooking a massive feast which consisted of grilled corn, hot dogs, burgers, potato salad and steak cooked to everyone's preference. Izuku noticed the child who was with the Hussy Cat stray away from the campsite. Once Izuku noticed this, he prepared a plate of food and followed him. Upon arriving at a small peak where everything could be seen. Koda. Did my aunt tell you to look for me? Izuku. No, I saw you left and I brought a plate of food in case you were hungry. Koda. Why are you trying to become heroes? It's pointless. Izuku. You say that now, but let me show you something. As Izuku pulled his locket from the inside of his shirt, he opened it to reveal 3 pictures. 1 Izuku. Koda, do you know who these people are? Koda. No, but one is you and a beautiful girl. Izuku. The man and woman are my parents and the girl with me is my girlfriend and future bride. They are my reason as to why I want to be a hero. Koda. Even if it means you might die. Izuku. Yes, the reason why is because I want them to live a happy peaceful life. I don't know why you dislike heroes, but I'll leave you with words my father told me, since I was your age with great power comes great responsibility. As Izuku left, Koda had found a new respect as to what his aunt does and as for the dreams that all of UA's students have. Eventually Koda got hungry and ate the plate of food. Once he returned to the camp, Mandalay rushed him asking if he was alright. Koda. Mandalay, I'm sorry I've been rude, I appreciate what you and the rest of the Hussycats do. This had Mandalay awestruck but was glad that Koda was coming around. Chapter 30 Class 1B Arrive Assault on the camp. Once again the sun arose at 5 AM. It was another day for training, but this time they were going to be joined by Class 1B who had been delayed. Upon arrival to the campground, Class 1B saw what kind of brutal training was in store for them. They saw all members of 1A being pushed beyond their limits, but the moment they saw Izuku's training, they saw him fighting Mount Lady Eraserhead and the Hussycats team. They thought that they'd have to do the same. As each member of 1B was given an individual training to strengthen their quirks, many began to fall and pass out due to exhaustion and fatigue. As the sun set, Class 1B were told that they'd have to cook for themselves until they heard Izuku speak. Izuku. If you guys want, let me handle the cooking. All of Class 1A felt relief since Izuku is an amazing cook. Class 1B was confused but let him handle the cooking. Once all the food was ready, everyone had the same facial expression. It was as if they seen the gates of heaven open up. When everyone finished their meals, they decided to hit the baths before Izuku could go. Koda grabbed his shirt. Koda. Izuku, can I ask you something? Izuku. Anything, buddy. Koda. Could you help him train my quirk? Izuku. Sure, I'll help you. If you don't mind me asking, why do you want to start training? Koda. Listening to the reason you want to be a hero made me want to protect what little family I have left. Izuku. Great, let's start now. Tell me your quirk. Koda. It's water manipulation. As Izuku began to think of ways the quirk could be used, then it hit him. Izuku. Koda, have you ever tried to focus your quirk in one point? Koda. No. Izuku. Let me show you what I mean, boo, using my second quirk. Koda. You have two quirks. Izuku. Yup, I only use it when necessary. Izuku the poured 5% of one for all into his index finger and launched a smash. Izuku. Kinda like that. Koda. Okay, so focus on an area. Koda closed his eyes and focused on the palm of his right hand as a sphere of water rotated on his hand. Once Koda opened his eyes, he was surprised but uncertain of what to do. Izuku. Try to throw it. Once Koda did as Izuku suggested, he threw it. Once it made contact, a small explosion of water occurred. Little did Izuku and Koda know both of them were being watched by 5 people. They were Momo, Mandalay, Pixie Bob, Ragdoll and Tiger. All 5 were impressed with the fact Koda had a pretty strong quirk. What had Mandalay most surprised was the fact he wanted to train. They kept watching the duo for a bit more. Izuku. Koda, try using your imagination on this one and we'll call it a night, okay? Koda. Okay. As Koda began to concentrate on the sphere in his hand again, he also had an image of a sword. This surprised him when a sword made completely out of water was in his hand. As he slashed the air, water flew off the water blade at high speeds, chopping down a few trees. Koda was surprised at the power he held inside himself. That's when Izuku screamed. Izuku. Ah, I am proud of you, little man. As Izuku lifted Koda off the ground and held him high, Koda just as a proud father would. Well, Koda had the biggest smile. When the 5 who looked on the 2 Mandalay saw the massive smile Koda had, she shed a tear since Koda's parents were killed. Izuku. Koda, let's ask your aunt if she'd let you join us tomorrow for training. When the 2 approached the cabin, they saw 5 people who had watched the 2. Koda ran to Mandalay, who then hugged her and asked for permission. Koda. Aunt Mandalay, can I train my quirk tomorrow with Izuku? She was shocked, but having Izuku as a role model was working out well for him. Mandalay. Of course, then let's head off to bed so we can be well rested for tomorrow. As the sun arose the following morning, everyone was prepared to go beyond plus ultra. Many of the UA students were confused as to see why Koda was joining them when everyone broke into their workouts. Koda was part of the strike team that would attack Izuku to sharpen his combat senses. When Izuku's training began, nobody made the first move until Izuku's symbiote sense went off and he dodged just in time. He looked towards his training partners and saw Koda with his water blade in his hands. This created the moment for every one of Izuku's training partners to attack. The assault on Izuku was relentless, but he managed to evade all the hits he could. Training was cut short to give the students some relaxing time, but little did they know something was going to happen. As the sun had set, the Hussycats made arrangements for a test of courage when Izuku's symbiote senses went wild and he yelled. Izuku. Everyone stay together, we've got company. Pixie Bob was being pulled towards the woods until Izuku webbed her and pulled her back to the group. One safe Izuku webbed someone in the woods and pulled them towards him. It was a massive muscular man. Muscular? Well, allow me to tell you who I am. Muscular and part of the Villian Vanguard, also you're surrounded. Now all of you, it's time to die. Chapter 31 Heroes vs Villian Vanguard. Previously. As the sun had set, the Hussycats made arrangements for a test of courage when Izuku's symbiote senses went wild and he yelled. Izuku. Everyone stay together, we've got company. Pixie Bob was being pulled towards the woods until Izuku webbed her and pulled her back to the group. One safe Izuku webbed someone in the woods and pulled them towards him. It was a massive muscular man. Muscular? Well, allow me to tell you who I am. Muscular and part of the Villian Vanguard, also you're surrounded. Now all of you, it's time to die. Chapter 31 Start. As the young heroes in training were surrounded, a purple gas was spreading all around them. Momo was quickly creating gas masks for everyone. Muscular charged at Mandalay when Kota saw this. The image of seeing her like he saw his parents flashed before his eyes. Kota created the largest water sword he could and began slashing the air, sending out powerful water attacks. Many were shocked he was the first to act until he screamed at the villain. Kota. You're the one who killed mom and dad. Muscular. You must be the waterhorse brat. I enjoyed the way they begged for mercy. Don't worry, I'll have a family reunion soon. Kota. You took my family once, I won't let you do it again. Kota began slicing the air with his water sword faster. When he became exhausted, Muscular charged at Kota. Kota thought it would be his end until Kamui Woods restrained him while Izuku delivered a symbiote smash. Muscular was unconscious now. It was time to deal with the others, but that's easier said than done. The whole area was covered by a magenta-colored mist. Luckily, Mount Lady had waved her massive hand and cleared the area, but when everyone saw the villain who created the gas, he had a gun pointed to Momo. Mustard. The name's Mustard. Now everyone power down your quirks or she dies. Deep within Izuku's mindscape, Lasher Carnage and his predecessors were furious, ready to kill this brat. Izuku stepped forward trying to negotiate. Izuku. Listen, why kill her when you could kill me? Mustard. Give me a reason to kill you first. Izuku. I'm far more powerful than anyone at this camp. I'm pretty sure Shigaraki wants me dead. Without hesitation, Mustard turned his back on Izuku. That was the biggest and last mistake that he would ever make. Izuku used his tendrils to slowly dig under the earth to capture and restrain Mustard. The moment Mustard finally put the cold barrel of the gun in front of Momo's face, Izuku used the tendrils to dig rapidly without being detected. The tendrils quickly restrained his arms and legs. Mustard. What the hell is this? Izuku. It's your punishment. As heroes, we decide whether or not you're too far gone to be saved. Once Izuku restrained Mustard, he began to struggle. That's when Izuku's tendrils slowly began to pull Mustard's limbs in all four directions. Izuku. I deem that you're far too gone to be saved. At that moment, Mustard was no more and was split straight in half. Nobody was shocked Kota was able to withstand the sight because he knew deep down that this criminal would attack and kill someone innocent. Izuku and Momo were going to run into each other's arms to be together again. They were cut off by a massive blue wall of fire. Dabi. Name's Dabi and you're on our kill list. As Izuku was face to face with a man with purple scars and stitches as he was about to be hit with another burst of fire. The attack was cancelled out by a bomb of water. Dabi was surprised when he saw Kota had another water bomb in his hand. Once he threw it at Dabi, it made it harder to make flames. Thanks to that distraction, Izuku powered up 25% of One for All into his legs and rushed Dabi to flank him from behind. Izuku took both his arms and stomped on his back, dislocating both arms. Just as Dabi was down for the count, Izuku saw Momo being assaulted by a blonde girl with a knife. This girl had a crazy look in her eyes. Izuku couldn't bear thought of Momo dying. He reacted quickly, charging at the crazy girl. She was about to land a killing blow to Momo when she saw a geyser of blood shoot out. The girl had a look of ecstasy, then she realized that it was her blood. Everything around her went dark. She collapsed after Izuku removed his symbiote sword, which impaled her from behind. Moonfish was easily taken down by Tokoyami due to Dark Shadow losing control. There remained two villains, who Joe requested a pickup. When Kurogiri arrived, he saw two dead bodies, one with two dislocated arms and two unconscious. Those who were dead and out of commission were left behind, while Kurogiri took those who were still of use. Once the villains fled, the police and extra backup was called. Nobody was kidnapped. They all had a feeling that this wasn't over. This was Pandora's box, and it had just been opened. Now wasn't the time to play. Izuku's thoughts. Could this have been the change the predecessors spoke of? As the police were loading Muscular into the police wagon, he broke the restraints and charged for Kota. Little did anyone think he kept his peripheral on Muscular the whole time. In a swift motion, Kota had a water sword in hand and brought down the powerful strike on Muscular, splitting him in half, ending his life. As the ordeal had concluded, everyone was returning to the city. They were given a few weeks off in order for UA to change the school into a boarding school. The school also got 4 new teachers. The hussy cats were offered jobs as teachers. As for Koda, he'd be close to Izuku, that he'd get to train with him again. Chapter 32, Implementing Dorm's Proposal. It was after the event in which both classes 1A and 1B were in a fight for their lives against the villain Vanguard. The public was wondering what UA was doing while students were attacked by villains. Many of the citizens were starting to doubt heroes. That's when Principal Nedzu decided that UA should become a boarding school. This would start letting the public see that UA has nothing but the best interests in its student safety. Teachers were sent to their students' homes. Both All Might and Eraserhead were almost done with doing the parent-teacher meetings. The duo came across something mysterious. It was the fact that Izuku and Momo shared the same address. So they went to check out the address. Once they arrived, a massive mansion came into view. All Might. Wow, this is impressive, isn't it? Aizawa. Yeah, I expected big but not this massive. After gaining entrance into the mansion, they were greeted by 4 people. It was Hisashi, Inko, Takeshi and Ibina, the parents of both Izuku and Momo. Aizawa. Hello, we've come to speak with you regarding the new dorm system. We're looking for the parents of Momo Yaoi Rozu and Izuku Midoriya. Hisashi. Hisashi Midoriya, and this is my wife Inko. Takeshi. Takeshi Yaoi Rozu, and this is my wife Ibina. Aizawa. A pleasure to meet you all. Shota Aizawa, your son and daughter's teacher. Where can we find him and her? Hisashi. Follow us if you would please kindly do so. Both Aizawa and All Might followed Hisashi, who led them to the back. To their surprise, they saw a big house in the back. After knocking on the door to the home, Izuku opened the door while wearing a black apron that read "Kiss the Cook." In the back, the vacuum cleaner could be heard. The look on his teachers' faces was funny, as they didn't expect this. Izuku. Momo, Aizawa and All Might are here. Please come inside. As Izuku invited his teachers, parents and future in-laws into his home, as they sat down, Momo came into the living room with a tray full of teacups. Aizawa. The reason for today's visit is to inform you that UA has put a dorm system into place. Hisashi. I'm okay with the dorm system. Takeshi. I also consent on this new school policy. Both All Might and Aizawa were surprised that every one of their students' parents agreed to the new system that was being implemented. Hisashi. I have one condition. Aizawa. What condition might that be? Hisashi. It's that these 2 lovebirds share a room. Everyone. What? Carnage. Attaboy, great condition, Hisashi. Everyone surprised by the sudden appearance made by Carnage, who seemed supportive of this idea. Izuku. Hey Carnage, haven't seen you or Lasher since the training camp. Lasher. We've been in recovery mode ever since the attack ended. This was caused by the excessive training and damage we sustained. Izuku. Well, if you guys need more rest, then rest up, because I bet we're going to have more intensive training now that we'll be living at UA. As the 2 symbiotes returned to rest, Aizawa and All Might were both mentally debating whether or not to let the 2 share a room. All Might. How long have the 2 of you been living together? Izuku. We started after the USJ incident. She lived with my family, and I then, after the internships, our families began living together since I plan to marry Momo after we graduate. Aizawa. Well, I believe we can arrange something if you 2 were officially engaged. Inko. Izuku, can I speak to you outside? Izuku. Sure, Mom. As both Izuku and Inko stepped outside, Inko had small tears forming on her eyes. Inko. Izuku, I've seen the smile you have when you're with Momo. I've seen how much you care about her. I want you to please propose with this ring. Inko had a ring in her pocket. It was a beautiful gold band ring with diamonds and an emerald in the middle. Izuku. Mom, isn't this the ring Dad proposed to you? Inko. It sure is, and I want you to propose to Momo with the same ring. I talked to your father and he agreed with this. Izuku took the ring and embraced his mother, thanking her for the ring. As the 2 went back inside, Izuku sat down with Momo as she whispered into his ear, "Is everything okay?" He only responded with a nod. Aizawa. Is everything alright, Midoriya? Izuku. Everything is okay, sensei. Quick question though. Aizawa. What's your question? Izuku. What if I propose to her now with you and All Might as my witnesses? All Might. I would vouch for you and let the principal know. Aizawa. As would I. As Izuku turned to face Momo, he got down on one knee and proposed. Izuku. Momo, we met as kids, then you moved away. Now that we're together again, I don't want to be separated from you. So would you, Momo Yaoi Rozu, do me the honor of being Mrs. Midoriya? Momo. Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes. When Izuku slid on the ring on her left hand, she cried as they embraced, while in the background Inko and Ibina were celebrating like schoolgirls, knowing that their kids were happy with each other. Aizawa. Congratulations, Izuku and future Miss Midoriya. As promised, we will speak with the principal about this matter. Pack as much as you can so your belongings can be delivered to the dorms, they are almost complete. 4 days later. The dorms were complete as everyone was given the grand tour of everyone's new home, where they live until they graduate. As Izawa showed them to their rooms after everyone had a key, both Izuku and Momo didn't receive a key until it was addressed. Izawa. Mr. and Miss Midoriya, your request has been fulfilled, here's the key to your room. Everyone was confused and didn't know what to expect. It wasn't until Mina saw the beautiful engagement ring on her finger. Chapter 33 Training for Provisional License. It was the day after everyone had moved into the new dorms at UA. Everyone was starting to get accustomed to living near the school and with their fellow classmates. It was officially the first day back to class after having endured the villain attack during the training camp. Izawa. Okay class, for the rest of this week we will be working on special moves. This is for the upcoming provisional license exam. This exam determines whether or not you are granted a license and are able to participate in a work-study program. This is far different than the internships you did during the beginning of the year. Everyone was excited to be able to actually participate alongside pro heroes, but before they could do that they'd have to pass the exam first. The rest of the week they were given free time to train and create special moves. In Izuku's case, he didn't need to, due to him already having some. When they went to training field Gamma, they were met with the Hussycats. They were all hired to teach the basics of rescue after the training camp incident. Along with the Hussycats, the young boy Koda was also there, who then rushed Izuku to greet him with a hug. Izuku. Koda, how are you doing? Koda. I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Would it be possible for you to help me train my quirk? Mandalay. Koda, don't be selfish, he has to train for his provisional exam. Izuku. Don't worry Mandalay, this will be like great, I could use practice to help my reflexes. So Izuku began his training and training Koda at the same time. This went on until the weekend. The weekend was here. Many of 1A's students decided to relax and take a break from training. Izuku on the other hand was helping Koda train. This went on straight into the afternoon. Both Izuku and Koda were exhausted from excessive training. That's when Momo came outside with sandwiches and a tall pitcher of lemonade. Momo. I hope you boys are hungry. Izuku. Thanks honey. Koda. Thanks mom. Momo looked at Izuku with a blush as they thought of themselves being a mom, and dad. Koda himself was embarrassed by calling her mom. Momo. Koda, do we remind you of your parents? Koda. Yes. Izuku. Would you tell us how we remind you of them? Koda. Well, dad was silly, clumsy and kind, while mom was beautiful, kind and intelligent. Momo was happy. He thought she reminded him of his mother, but on the other hand, Izuku was a bit confused as to how he came off clumsy and silly. Then the couple noticed the sad expression on Koda's face and decided to give him a surprise present. Izuku. Well Koda, we have a present for you. Koda. What is it? Izuku pulls out a small gift box, and when Koda opened it, and inside was a locket completely different than Izuku's. As Koda lifts up the small necklace, he opens it up to reveal a picture that contains all members of the Hussycats, another of Izuku and Momo, the third was his parents, and an empty slot. Koda. Wow. Koda was left speechless. He had almost forgotten what his parents looked like. Izuku. It's a necklace like mine. We were able to get the Hussycats picture because we said we were going to give you something special. Mandalay had an old picture of your parents. We're there because we'll support you in any way. Koda. Why is there an empty space? Momo. That space is for a picture of you and the person you love. Izuku. The people represent your reasons to become a hero. Momo. Do you like the gift? Koda nodded and immediately wore it around his neck. They quickly embraced the two, thanking them. Little did they know the Hussycat saw the interaction and shared the same thought. They look like a family. The weekend was over. Izuku had been training hard like always, while also assisting multiple of his classmates. Koda was usually able to train with Wana, but then Tiger became his trainer in order to help him in hand-to-hand combat. Skip to exam day. It was the day of the exam. Everyone was prepared to do their best. Upon arrival to the testing facility, Izawa addressed his class. Izawa. Okay students, here is where you show these people what you can do and put everything you've learned into use. Hey Eraser. Izawa paled at the sound of the voice he had just heard. As he turned around, he saw none other than Ms. Joke. Joke. Let's get married. When she asked that question, Mina practically squealed in joy when that question was asked. Izawa. Good joke. Joke. Come on Eraser, don't be like that, remember the romance we shared. Izawa. You're being delusional. Joke. Still with those quick comebacks. Once Joke explained how they both know each other, they headed toward the testing grounds where the first portion of the test would be explained. At that same moment, Todoroki spotted someone familiar who took part in UA's recommended exam. The guy's name was Urashi Inasa. Chapter 34 The Shape of My Dream. Now that many of the schools had arrived to the testing area, they were explained how the first test Once the first test was explained, many of the students were designated an area. As a platform moved upward, they were in a battlefield. Little did they expect other schools unite to take down UA. Many didn't expect to be separated from their class. In the teacher area. Joke. I guess you didn't tell them about the annual UA crushing. Aizawa. There was no need because they're ready. Back at the exams. Everyone from Wano was scattered and began to panic, but they calmed down and all began to think, what would Izuku do? As the exams continued over the intercom, the proctor had begun to announce how many people passed along with how many passing positions left. Students were passing left and right. Meanwhile, a majority of class 1 has already passed, which left a small group left of Iowa students left. Aoyama POV. As I hide behind a rock, cowering in fear, thinking whether or not I truly belong here to stand by the side of many powerful heroes in my class. I hide to keep myself safe, then I eventually hear a familiar voice. Avend. Ida. Aoyama-kun, I've found you. I've been roaming around looking for our class. Aoyama, haha, you're silly. What if our classmates have already passed? Ida. I found you, didn't I? I don't care if I pass, I want my comrades to succeed. I wish to be a support for my friends for as long as I can, that is the shape of my dream. Aoyama flashback. Aoyama. Papa mama, why am I so different? As I grew a bit older, I received a special belt to keep my quirk under control. Flashback end. There are a few spots remaining. Iida is protecting Aoyama from getting hit one last time. They begin to run away as an explosion hit their area and could cause them to be hit during a crossfire. Just then Iida's words began to ring in Aoyama's head. I don't care if I pass, I want to be the support for my friends as long as I can, that is the shape of my dreams. Aoyama lets go of Iida's grip and begins to shoot his naval laser into the sky. Iida. What are you doing? Aoyama. Standing out. Iida. I can see that, but why? Aoyama. 2 of my targets have been hit. With your speed you can make it. Hurry. Iida torn between what to do as the rival schools got closer. Iida stood there as Aoyama's laser was starting to fade when all of a sudden their area was covered with pigeons. Iida realized what was happening. Koda. Birds keep circling that area. Okoyami. Black Abyss Covert Black Ops Arms. As everyone was surrounded by darkness and lured into a trap, everyone else was blinded by Hagaku's special move Warp Refraction. Aoyama. Hey, why? Bushido. We were all panicking, friends and foes alike, but then thanks to your belly button laser we were able to meet up again. Now let's do this. One by one the students of class 1 began to pass as there were only 2 spots left. Aoyama and Iida ran to their targets. Iida. I don't know what you're measuring yourself against, but this is thanks to you. As the 2 tag other applicants who were trapped, the proctor called for the end of the exam. All class 1 members have successfully passed the provisional license exam. As the rest of them went to the waiting room, Izuku approached Aoyama. Izuku. Aoyama, you did a great job. But this compliment, Aoyama broke into tears seeing as how he was acknowledged by one of THR strongest in the class. After Aoyama shed his tears, he told everyone that has been feeling undeserving of being in the hero course. Izuku. If that's how you feel, Aoyama, then let's change that. Aoyama. How can we change that? Izuku. I'll personally help you if you're willing to put the time and effort. I'll make sure that you can be proud of yourself. Once all passing students were given their hero provisional license, this meant things were about to get interesting. Chapter 35 The Big Three. A few days had passed since everyone had received their provisional licenses. It was now Monday again, and everyone was waiting in class to see what was the next step in the hero course. Just as the class bell rang, everyone was seated waiting. The door then opened to reveal Aizawa walk in. Aizawa. Good morning class, you have improved on getting to your seats on time. Now you're all wondering what's next, right? Everyone slowly nodded at Aizawa's words because they weren't sure what comes next. Aizawa. Alright, you can come in now. As Aizawa gave a small signal, 3 people entered the class. The first was a tall blonde guy with a cartoon character face. Second was a girl with sky blue hair whose personality resembled that of a curious child. The third was a quiet guy who looked like he was trying to intimidate the class with a stare, but it turns out he was really shy. Aizawa. I've asked these 3 here today because they are UA Academy's big 3. Now they will explain what's going to happen. Mirio. I'm Mirio Tagada and these 2 are Nijire Hato and Tamaki Amajiki. We're known as the Big 3 because we're the strongest team here at UA. Aizawa. That's no bluff either. Mirio here is considered by all staff to be the next #1 hero. Everyone's eyes bulged from their heads. That's when a familiar voice rang throughout the class. I call that a load of shit. Let's get a demonstration to see if it's true. It was none other than Katsuki Bakugo. Even though he's slowly changing, he still has his explosive moments. Mirio. Alright, if you don't believe my words, maybe my actions will speak louder. How about I fight all 20 of you as long as Mr. Aizawa approves? Aizawa. I approve, it will be good experience for them. As everyone changed into their gym uniforms, the 20 vs 1 fight was about to begin. The moment the match began, Mirio activated his quirk, but suddenly he was naked, which caused Jiru to freak out. After Mirio compassed himself, he just seemed to vanish before everyone's eyes. He reappeared behind everyone only to scare Jiru as he was naked again. In that very instant, all 10 long-range quirk users were taken out swiftly. The only 10 that remained were the close combat quirk users. Before the remaining 10 could formulate any sort of plan, Mirio again vanished only to knock out everyone except Izuku. Mirio. Alright, you're the strongest out of all the first years, so let's see if you can beat me. He slipped into the ground once again and prepared his attack. Izuku calmed himself down. When Mirio popped out of the ground, he yelled, "Blinder touch, eyeball crush." Izuku heard Lasher's voice say dodge, then wait 2 seconds to attack. Izuku did as Lasher said, and just as Mirio thought he had the upper hand, Izuku dodged and landed a powerful kick to stomach that sent him flying. Aizawa, Nijire and Tamaki were surprised to see that someone was able to successfully counter Mirio's attack. Mirio. Nijire, care to help me? Nijire. Yup. Nijire powered up her quirk and began to launch a steady flow of attacks without overusing her energy. As she assisted Mirio, her diversion was of no use. Izuku was able to take her down without breaking a sweat. Mirio. Tamaki, a hand please. Tamaki then transformed his arms into tentacles and legs into chicken legs. He tried to restrain Izuku, but it was no use. The tentacles were sliced by Izuku's bladed tendrils. With lightning fast speed, Izuku was in front of Tamaki and slammed an uppercut to his chin, knocking him out. Aizawa. Alright, this exhibition is over. Midoriya, please take the big 3 to Recovery Girl. Izuku. Yes, sensei. Izuku picked up Mirio, Tamaki and Nijire and swung them over his shoulder to get them to Recovery Girl. Everyone from Class 1 began to slowly recover from beating to see Izuku carry the big 3 away. Momo. Sensei, what happened? Aizawa. Midoriya just took down the top 3 third years that UA has. Everyone was surprised that Izuku was able to fight and take down the big 3 on his own. Momo knew he could do. Aizawa. Alright class, now that this is over, get changed. You have a week to choose your work-study agency. While everyone went to get dressed, Izuku was on his way to Recovery Girl's office. Once getting there, he was greeted by RG. RG. Hello there Sonny, how can I help you? Izuku. Can you fix up the big 3? I sorta broke them. RG. Sure, place each of them on a bed and you can leave. Izuku did what RG had asked, and after doing so he headed towards the dorms. 15 minutes after Izuku left, the big 3 woke up and began to wonder how they got to the infirmary. RG came and explained to them how they got there. She left too for a brief moment. Mirio. What do you guys think of Midoriya? Nijire. He's super strong. I wonder what his quirk is. Do you think he'd tell us? Tamaki. He's skilled in both tactics and combat. I'm impressed. Mirio. Yeah, I'm going to recommend him to sir, there's no doubt that he'll fit in. Chapter 36, Meeting Night Eye Overhaul. The school day ended quickly after the exhibition fight with the big 3. Many only had a 1-week time span to choose who to pick for the work-study program. Little did Izuku know he'd be recommended to an agency by one of the big 3. Nightfall came, everyone was nervous for the work-study program. Izuku still laid awake. He couldn't sleep. When he finally did, he only got a few hours of sleep before the next school day. In class was about to begin. The bell had rung when Aizawa walked in. Behind him came Mirio Tagata. Many were confused as to why one of the members from the big 3 had come back to their classroom. Aizawa. Before we begin class, Mirio Tagata had something to say. Mirio. Izuku Midoriya, I extend to you an opportunity to come with me and do your work-study program with Pro Hero Night Eye. Let me know what you decide by the end of the day. Izuku was utterly surprised that Saman gave him a chance to intern at an agency, but regardless, Izuku still needed time to consider whether or not he'd go through with it. Izuku. Mirio-senpai, when do we leave? Mirio. We can go now if you'd like. Aizawa, is that alright with you? Aizawa. That's fine. Midoriya, you can head out now, take your hero suit in case. As Izuku and Mirio left, they headed towards Night Eye's agency. It only took 30 minutes to arrive. When they entered Night Eye's office, he looked at Izuku with a look of interest. Mirio. Hello sir, here's the guy I told you about. Night Eye. He's the kid who beat you? Mirio. Yes sir. Night Eye. Mirio, would you and Bubble Girl step outside? I'd like to test the potential of our possible new recruit. Izuku. What kind of test do you have in mind? Night Eye. If you can take the stamp from my hand, then I'll gladly accept you. Before Izuku did anything, he looked at his surroundings to begin to form a plan. All that covered the room was All Might merchandise. Mindscape. Izuku. Hey guys, we got a challenge. Carnage. Can we kill him? Lasher. No, it's a test to see if Izuku gets this work experience job. Carnage. No fun. When are we gonna get into some action? Izuku. I don't know, but be careful what you wish for. Mindscape end. Izuku used one for all and mixed it with his symbiote power, increasing his speed which surpassed All Might. Night Eye had trouble keeping up with Izuku's movements, but was able to quickly adapt after 5 minutes of trying. Night Eye was about to reject Izuku until he realized that he no longer had the stamp in his hand. Night Eye. Welcome to the agency. Night Eye said as he stretched his hand towards Izuku and Izuku took his hand and shook it. Night Eye. Now Midoriya, change into your hero costume and we'll all go patrol. Izuku. Yes sir. Mirio and Bubble Girl came in and Night Eye had told them about the new member who would be joining them on patrol. Izuku went to change into his hero suit. When he met up with the other 3 members, Izuku had his gas mask clipped onto his side. Night Eye explained the mission and it was to be on the lookout for suspicious activity. Night Eye. Before I forget, if you spot this villain, run, do not engage in combat. Night Eye said as he held a picture of a mysterious man. Izuku and Mirio looked closely at the image of the man to memorize who he is. Night Eye. This man is Hisaki Kai, or to the world he's known as Overhaul, the villain who has already killed many heroes. Apparently the area we are patrolling is a part of his controlled territory. Izuku, Mirio and Bubble Girl had a shiver run down their spine. The squad of 4 went on patrol. Izuku was partnered up with Mirio. The 2 patrolled for a few hours, then as they rounded the corner, a little girl with snow-white hair and red eyes looked at Izuku and Mirio and begged them to help her. "PP please, help me." Before Mirio was able to ask her who she needed to be safe from, Izuku grabbed both of them and super jumped to the tallest building where he took out binoculars and handed them to Mirio. "Izuku. Senpai, look at the area where we stood." Mirio saw through the binoculars and a few seconds later he saw Overhaul appear from the alley. He then put the binoculars down to avoid the sun reflect off the lens and give away their position. "Mirio. That's Overhaul. How did you know he was going to appear?" Izuku. "Due to my quirk having fused with my body, I've been granted enhanced senses." Izuku then turned to the girl who was covered in dirty tattered rags and asked her a few questions. Izuku. "Hello, what's your name?" "Eri. My name is Eri." Izuku. "What a cute name. Okay Eri, why was that man chasing you?" "Eri. To experiment on me." She began to have tears stream down her face, but the unexpected happened. She was embraced by Izuku. Izuku. "Don't worry Eri, we're heroes and we won't let anything bad happen to you." Izuku turned to Mirio and said, "You might want to inform Night Eye." After doing so, the 3 rendezvous at the designated location. Upon hearing what Izuku and Mirio were told, Night Eye decided to take quick action, informing UA to suspend the work-study program. At UA. Everyone had now reached UA and Night Eye went to speak with Nezu about what they encountered. After some time talking, it was decided that the work-study program would be put on hold. Nezu also requested that Eri stay at UA. When Nezu was about to select a guardian, he noticed that she was clinging to Izuku as if her life depended on it. After seeing this, Nezu asked Midoriya, "Would it be possible if you could take Eri into your custody?" Izuku. "I'd be glad to do so, Principal Nezu." Little did Izuku realize that Nezu meant something entirely different. Chapter 37, Becoming a Father. As Izuku left Principal Nezu's office, he held Eri in his hands as she was terrified of her new surroundings and only felt safe in Izuku's care. As he made his way towards the dorms, the second he stepped inside was when everyone rushed him asking questions regarding why the work-study would be on hold. As he calmed everyone down, they quickly noticed a crying child in his arms. The first to speak was Katsuki. "Katsuki. Deku, who's the kid?" Izuku. "Her name is Eri and she's a rescue from my patrol today. To be honest, we barely escaped with our lives." As everyone gasped at the revelation that could have happened, Momo broke through the wall of students who kept her apart from Izuku. When she was finally with him again, tears threatened to leave her eyes, but then she noticed the little girl in his arms. "Momo. Who's this little angel?" Izuku. "Hey honey, this is Eri, she's a rescue during my patrol. We almost had an encounter with Overhaul, the leader of the 8 precepts of death." Momo noticed how the little girl was covered in bandages while wearing rags. She asked Izuku to allow her to hold Eri. As he was passing her to Momo, Eri was panicking. Izuku was able to calm her down and told her that Momo wouldn't do anything to hurt her. As Momo held Eri like a loving mother would, she took Eri to their room and Izuku followed them. Many of the students were still confused as to why Izuku brought a child with him until Izawa and Nezu walked into 1A's dorms. Nezu. "Students, did you see where Midoriya went?" Ichako. Momo took the little girl and Izuku back to their room. Nezu. "Perfect, we have some matters to speak about now, excuse us." Nezu and Izawa had walked to the Midoriya room. As they knocked, Izuku greeted them. As the 2 teachers stepped inside, Izuku noticed the stack of papers Izawa carried. Izawa. "You're probably wondering what these are." Izuku. "Yes, I am." Nezu. These are adoption papers for Eri. You can't legally adopt her, but since you and Momo are legally married you can. After Momo came out of the bathroom with Eri, who was just given a bath and dressed in a pretty red dress, both the teacher and principal were surprised to see the little girl, who looked terrified, now had a small smile. 21 Momo. What going on, Izuku? Well, the principal would like to know if we'd be willing to adopt Eri as our daughter. Momo shrieked in excitement as she lifted Eri up and began to give her lots of love and affection. She then told her. Momo. Eri, would you like it if me and Izu became your mama and papa? Eri. What's a mama and papa? Izuku. A mama and papa are people who will love you and take care of you. Our job will be to make sure you're ready to face whatever challenges life throws at you. Eri began to cry as she was never shown any love or affection during her time caged up. Eri. I promise it'll be good, so please don't send me back. This broke everyone's heart because Eri truly believed that they would send her to that awful hellhole again. Izuku walked up to Eri. Izuku. Eri, we'll keep you safe, don't ever think we'd put you in that situation like that ever again. He then kissed her forehead with the affection of a parent, just like his parents did for him when he was a kid. Momo did the same. She kissed her new daughter, practically smothering her with love and affection she missed out on. Izawa. So Mr. and milliseconds Midoriya, please sign these papers and Eri will legally be called Eri Midoriya. He'll personally turn in the paperwork. Oh, I almost forgot, your families will be moved next door to the dorms since we don't want to risk villain attacks on them. Your room will be modified in order to give Eri her own room. You can stay with your family while we update the room. Once Izawa left the little family of 3, they had the idea to visit their parents and introduce them to their new grandchild. Izuku. Eri, would you like to meet your grandmas and grandpas? Eri. Who are they? Momo. It's my mama and papa and your daddy's mama and papa. Eri. I have 2 grandmas and grandpas. Eri said, shocked. The expression on her face was funny. Izuku and Momo got dressed to go next door where their parents are staying. As they headed over, Momo knocked on the door of the mansion. Hisashi opened the door and saw Eri in Izuku's arms. Hisashi. Hey guys, who's this little angel? Izuku. Say hi to Grandpa Eri. Eri. Hi Grandpa, I'm Eri Midoriya. Hisashi shut down like a robot when he heard Grandpa, but after a few seconds he was overwhelmed with joy. As he led the new family of 3 into the home there, Izuku saw Inko and Abina talking while Takeshi was relaxing. Inko. Hello Izuku. Momo, and who's the little angel in your arms? Both Abina and Takeshi looked towards Izuku, waiting for Izuku to reveal who the child was as she hid her face into his chest. Izuku. I'd like to present to you all Eri Midoriya, your granddaughter. Shrieks of joy were heard from Izuku and Momo's mother as they raced to hold and smother their new grandbaby. The two then realized that she felt too light, so they made a huge feast and began to stuff her. Eri was happy she had a family who fed her and loved her. She thought nothing bad was gonna happen until the TV program had switched to an announcement made by Overhaul. Overhaul. Hello world, I ruled the 8 precepts of death. I tell you this because anyone with information about Eri let us know and we won't level the city with our allies. As the camera panned over, the world saw a man who wore a skeleton mask and a massive giant. All Might recognized who this was and knew the final battle was near. Overhaul. Just so you know, we mean war, so give us Eri or have a full-blown war. The transmission cut and regular programs were back on the air. The adults in the room heard someone cry. Eri. It's my fault. Izuku. Eri, none of this is your fault. I promise to protect you no matter what. Izuku ran to the dorms and saw All Might. One look and they both knew what was going to be said. All Might. Looks like we're going to war with villains, but we're going to need more help. Izuku. I know someone who would probably be willing to help us. Chapter 38, calling for backup. When Izuku and everyone saw what was going down, the mood was deadly serious and things were about to turn into hell on earth. As All Might had said that war was coming, there was only a short amount of time to get some powerful allies for the coming fight. All Might. Young Midoriya, you mentioned someone who could possibly help. Izuku. Yes I do, let me make the call right now. As Izuku left, he took his phone and started to dial a number, hoping his friend would be able to help him. The call. Ring ring ring. Flash. Izuku. Hey, what's up? Izuku. Hey Flash, hope you've been well. I don't mean to be rude, but I gotta ask a favor. Flash. What's up? What's going on? Izuku. The villains have declared war on us and they want this girl for her quirk so they can make quirk erasing bullets. Flash. Let me guess, the 8 precepts of death are behind this. Izuku. How did you know? Flash. Those sons of hitches have been smuggling those type of bullets into the US. A police officer had found one and had it tested. There was traces of human DNA. If you know where they are, I can tell my superiors and we can join forces with you. Izuku. We don't have a location. If we had someone who can read my daughter's memory, then we could possibly have a location. Flash. Daughter. Izuku. The DNA in those bullets belongs to my adopted daughter. They're trying to take her in order to make more quirk erasing bullets. Flash. I'll send you a message when I've been greenlit for the mission. If the mission is a go, who should I bring? Izuku. Bring the best of the best. Call end. Izuku returned to the rest of the group, who were now on deep thought as to this war declaration the villains have slammed on them. All Might had called Izuku to see if they would receive any reinforcements to aid them in this war. All Might. Young Midoriya, any news if we shall receive any reinforcements? Just as All Might asked, Izuku's text notification went off. Izuku checked, and he had a smile plastered on his face as he showed it to All Might. The message read as follows: "We've been greenlit, we'll be there shortly." Time skip. The sun had begun to set. Many of 1A's students were worried that no assistance would arrive. When Izuku was going to call Flash to check what was going on, a message was received: "We're here." Izuku ran outside and saw nobody there until all of a sudden shadows from above were seen. As they safely landed on the ground, Flash came up and greeted his former intern. Flash. Izuku, it's great to see you. Allow me to introduce my team for this mission. As Izuku saw the people who stood behind Flash, he knew who they were. Izuku. I can't believe it. Spider-Man, Wolverine, Captain America, Winter Soldier and Professor X. Flash, how did you get the best of the best here? Flash. Well, me and Spidey went to high school together. Wolverine, Captain and Winter Soldier all served in World War II together. We couldn't afford to lose soldiers like Bucky and Captain, so they volunteered to be cryogenically frozen, and now they're here. Professor X is the one who's going to look into your daughter's mind in order to find the 8 precepts. Izuku. Perfect, please come with me. Izuku led them towards the mansion that was built near the dorms which houses his parents and in-laws. The moment he enters, Izuku is tackled by 2 blurs, one small white one and a black one. Eri. Daddy. Momo. Honey, you're back. Izuku. We have guests, dear. Momo. I'm terribly sorry, Momo Midoriya. As everyone greeted her, Eri felt a little uncomfortable since they were people she didn't know. She hid behind Izuku's leg. Izuku. Eri, sweetie, don't be scared, they're here to help us put Overhaul in jail. Eri. Really? Izuku. Really? I promised I'd do everything to keep you safe. Now Eri, Professor X is going to need your help. Eri. What can I do? Izuku. The professor will check your memories so we can find where Overhaul is. Is that okay, sweetie? Eri was hesitant but agreed in order to help the heroes put Overhaul away. As Eri approached Professor X, he placed his hand on her head and began to see her memories. At first he saw her past with an old man she called her grandpa as they walked into a mansion. Before Professor X stopped viewing Eri's memories, he saw a transition where the old man was bedridden. Then what he saw next was a life no child should have ever lived through. He then stopped. Eri was unconscious. He looked at everyone and said, "We have a location." Prof.X. Midoriya, I saw the life she lived. It's something no child should go through. Would you like me to alter her memories so that it would be that she's been with you after her grandfather fell sick? Izuku. I think that would be best. What do you think, Momo? Momo. She deserves to be happy to be able to sleep peacefully. Let's do it. The group was escorted to Nezu's office and had told him to inform top-ranking heroes that both the League and the 8 precepts have been found. Preparations for the upcoming wars were now beginning. Many would have to team up in order to take down 2 of the most evil organizations. Chapter 39. Izuku and many top heroes including Venom, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Captain America, Winter Soldier and Prof X stood in front of the Yakuza compound where Eri was held captive. The police were there until a massive villain had broken the doors open, sending multiple police officers flying. They were caught by both Symbiote and Spider-Man. Pro hero Ryukyu had decided she was best suited to take down this villain since her quirk allowed her to become a dragon. The heroes and police began to raid the compound, but many of the members had rushed outside in order to prevent heroes and police from entering the mansion. Spider-Man then began to web up the Yakuza together and decided to stay back in order for everyone else to be able to catch them. Spider-Man. Go, we can't afford to let Overhaul get away. With everyone else in agreement, they rushed in after Professor X had taken point. Then they ran into more obstacles as the room began to shift. Many became inebriated due to a villain who they found out had a quirk to make everyone seem drunk. Professor X and Wolverine weren't affected. The professor had decided to handle the villain alone and sent the others ahead. As the hero squad had continued to run through the labyrinth known as the Yakuza hideout. Then before reaching Overhaul, the wall within one of them halls opened up and tried to swallow all the heroes. If it wasn't for Fatgum, everyone would have been trapped, although he was taken. Fat believed he was alone. Captain. You alright there, Fat? Fatgum was with Captain, so having a veteran hero at his side made him feel that whatever enemy they'd face they would end up victorious. Although Captain and Fatgum faced off against the sword and shield of Overhaul's group. Things could get messy quick, but they wouldn't let any obstacles get in their way. It then turned into one hell of an endurance war, but hopefully things would work out. Back with Izuku. The last of the heroes kept moving forward, but just as they were closing in on their target but were stopped by 3 criminals were known as Ho-Ho, Tabe and Satsuno. They were 3 of the 8 bullets. Wolverine. All of you go on ahead, I got these jumps. Before leaving, Winter Soldier grabbed Tabe's head and slammed it on the ground with his metal arm, allowing a sickening crack to echo in the room. Wolverine smirked because Tabe was only put out of commission for a brief moment. Ho-Ho and Satsuno were shitting bricks because the Wolverines stood before them. Although they were down to ride or die for Overhaul, they definitely didn't expect one of the most legendary heroes to make an appearance. Wolverine. So who wants to fight first? Said Wolverine as his claws came out of his knuckles. He taunted them by sharpening them against each other. Ho-Ho didn't seem fazed by this taunt, but that was his first mistake, and last one. As he rushed Wolverine, he suddenly felt cold, only to notice his crystal armor was pierced straight through his chest. The man dropped dead in an instant, while Tabe was still unconscious. With every step Wolverine closed in on remaining thug, he only backed away while begging to be spared until Satsuno saw Tabe chomp on Wolverine's arm, but that was his mistake. Wolverine had deactivated his claws to draw on Tabe, but the moment his arm was in Tabe's mouth, he activated his claws, killing the man instantly. This made Satsuno beg to be spared. Wolverine then deactivated his claws and punched the man hard enough to knock him out so he could be questioned later. But Fatgum and Captain Hap. Fatgum, you okay? Fat. Yeah. Look out. As Fatgum took a powerful attack aimed for Cap, 2 villains came out. One was large and muscular, the second small and thin. Rappa. Look what we got here, Tengai. We have 2 shields against a spear and shield. Let's see who is the one that will last the longest. One punch of Rappa's had sent Cap flying as his back slammed into the wall, which knocked the wind from him, only for him to see Fatgum take a lot of heavy damage. Cap was able to stand back up since his new twin shields were able to absorb a good amount of damage. Thank God, my old one would have probably shattered, Cap thought as he rushed Rappa in order to give Fat enough time to catch his breath. The attack was then blocked by Rappa's partner, who insisted they end this matter quickly. Rappa continued the flurry of punches, but Cap stayed strong in order to protect his comrade. When Cap noticed Rappa had begun to slow down, he saw an opening and slammed a monstrous body shot, breaking the man's ribs. Before Cap could land another one, Tengai had put up his barrier. A shield bash from Cap hardly did damage. Tengai. You old fossil, you're too weak, your efforts were in vain. Hat. No, they weren't. Thanks for buying me time, Cap. Fatgum unleashed his true power and was able to launch a monstrous counterpunch. Tengai believed that his barrier would hold, but it was shattered by Fatgum's counterattack, which sent both Tengai and Rappa flying to the wall. Pat. You okay, Cap? Hap. Yeah, I can do this all day. Back to Izuku. After Izuku, Flash and Winter kept running, they ended up in a large lab with a TV inside it. As they were about to search for Overhaul, the TV turned on by itself. Overhaul. Well, I must applaud you heroes for making it this far, but you've all have failed. Did you honestly believe that I would fight you now? Izuku. Show yourself, coward. Overhaul. The real war will begin soon, and mark my word, I'll find that girl and our plans to dominate the world will come to pass. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.